Hi. So, I posted a few days ago saying, oh, actually, was it a few days? Saturday, saying that I was reading Trying by Rachel Swanson, and I finished it on the plane that day, and I love it. And what can I say? Like, it's a book that I wish that I had had when I was trying, when I was going through IVF. And to be honest, I kind of like the things in here are just things that are life things. They're not just fertility things. And I feel like even if you're not trying, you can take a lot from it. So Rachel splits up the book into 5 chapters. Each chapter, it talks about something a little bit different. So we've got microbiome, which you might know is like, normally it focuses around the gut, but she talks about oral microbiome, vaginal microbiome, and you just learn a lot. Like, you know, 30%, if you're kissing your partner, you get 30% of their oral microbiome. I'm just like, ugh, better make sure they're brushing their teeth, not just yourself. Metabolic functions, so that's all talking about what you eat, how your lifestyle, it just basically generally day to day. We've got methylation, which is how your body gives instructions to your genes. So it's all about, again, about eating, but also about supplements and what you need to be taking. Then we've got my favorite chapter, which Rachel knew, which is all about microplastics and nanoplastics and that really important stuff, and how basically it's in everything. And then the last chapter is on mitochondria, which is all about turning what you eat into the fuel to make sure that you can get more fertile and basically have that baby. Now, one thing that really stands out to me about this book is that it doesn't just talk about the woman. I love that, because it's not just about the woman. Funny that. So 50% of fertility is the sperm, 50% is the egg. Now, interestingly, Rachel talks in here about the health of that couple when you conceive affects the pregnancy all the way through, and it affects the child's health later in life. It's just like mind-blowing. So what it does say to me is, guys, you can't just lie on the couch, smoke weed, and just think, oh, I'm just going to have sex and that's my job done. Well, no, that's not just your job done. Your job is to get healthy as well, because it all impacts later in life. And this makes complete sense, because this is why, like, so obesity is related to when your parents, if your father was overweight when he conceived you, you're more likely to be overweight later in life, studies have now found. And that's what I found out through this book. And I was like, oh my God, it's just so interesting. The other thing I love in here is that they've got lots of, there's lots of recipes. Rachel finishes every chapter with a wrap up and some resources. It's also got a ton, and I mean a ton, of references. So like, if you're going through the book and you're going, seriously? No, that can't be right. Not that I think she's lying, but really? You can actually go and read the article later on and find out a bit more about it, which I love. So the way that Rachel talks about everything in Trying is that it's very, very easy to understand. You don't need a science degree. You don't need to be a doctor. You don't need to be a nutritionalist. You can just be a regular person on the street and you will understand what she's trying to say. She does use the big words, but she explains the big words, and it just makes, it's just very easy reading. I mean, I was on a plane for 5.5 hours, and normally I'm just like, put the movie on, watch that. No, read the book the whole time. Took me less than 5.5 hours. I didn't read every single bit, because some things like sections on PCOS, that doesn't really interest me because I don't have PCOS, but so I skipped over some bits, but mostly read all of it, and I just loved it. And I just think, so my favorite bit, where is it? Microplastics, this is the microplastics chapter, funnily enough, is this table, because this table talks about your most wanted list. It talks about what the thing is, where it lurks, and why you should care. And that's what I love about this book all the way through. Rachel is like, not just saying, oh, you should stop eating chocolate, you should stop eating whatever, fast food, ultra processed food. She's like, you should stop eating this, and this is why it matters. So you don't go, oh, just another person telling me not to eat fried chicken or whatever it is. You're like, oh, okay, I get it now. This is why everyone's been telling me for years that I shouldn't eat fried chicken or whatever the thing is. I don't eat fried chicken. And also I should mention I'm not actually trying, but Rachel sent me the book because she thought I might be interested in reading it, which I was very interested in reading it. So yeah, on this most wanted list, for example, it's got BPA, and it says their day job is making plastics hard and clear like water bottles, baby bottles, lining cans so your soup doesn't taste like metal. I mean, like, really spells it out for you. Where they lurk: canned food, drink linings, food containers, some hard plastic containers, especially when heated or scratched, and thermal paper receipts and dust. Okay, the fertility file, which is why you should care. They're linked to potentially fewer eggs retrieved during IVF cycles. I'm just like, OMG. Okay, so if you're doing IVF, you want as many eggs as you can get. So getting fewer eggs, not an option. You want as many as you can, especially because it costs so much money. So just all the way through, it's like that. And I just absolutely love it. And if I was trying, then my book would literally be filled with tabs and scribbles, and it just feels like it's a resource that we have been waiting for in the fertility community. There just doesn't seem to be anything that really spells it all out in one place. Gives you not just the science behind it, but also gives you the what to do about it. And in some chapters, particularly my microplastics chapter, well, not mine, but you know, she talks about swaps, and such easy swaps. I mean, a lot of them I already knew about, but if you're not into this space, then you might not know. And there's so many things you can do that are really easy, particularly with micro and nanoplastics, because in that space, you don't have to stop eating chocolate. Win! You just swap your pans, or stop using a plastic water bottle, get a metal one. Things like that, which are really simple, and they're not gonna, it's not like having to change your lifestyle particularly. Other chapters, yes, they talk about that, but also Rachel's really like honest and realistic about things. She's not just saying, oh, you need to go to the farmer's market, only buy organic, and never eat anything out of a packet again. She is all about being realistic. If you can't afford to buy organic food, then okay, try and buy things that are in season. If you can't afford to buy, you know, whatever it is, then there's alternatives you can do that are still better than what you're currently doing. And that's what it's all about. It's not about going from 0 to 100 in 3 seconds. It's not about throwing out everything in the cupboards today. It's about making those changes so that you can actually, and it does make a difference in terms of your fertility, and not just your fertility, in terms of life. So I just love it. Rachel, well done. This is such a great book. I am so loving reading it, telling people about it. And I've already been on a call this morning and told people, we need to read this. So thank you. And if you're thinking, if you are doing IVF or you are trying to conceive naturally, either way, you need to be buying this book and reading it probably. I would say, Rachel says start 3 months before, but actually you need to start sooner than that. So if you are thinking about trying, then get trying. That's all I can say.